but I think we're
We'll
live.
find
maybe?
out the hard way.
Maybe we're live.
Oh, you froze for a minute there. I was like, what the heck?
Okay, I think we're live.
All right.
Live.
What's up, people?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Superhero Chat.
Also known as the Jonathan and Lewis Show.
That's right. If you're just tuning in for the first time, right now we've got my computer is really bad, so we've been forced to go to pictures. But later this summer, I'll be getting a new computer, so we'll have better video streaming. So, but for now, hope you enjoy the pictures we got. They'll give you something to look at. But first, today we're going to be talking about the top 10 Hulk villains. Woo!
But not Hulk Hogan.
Not Hulk Hogan. Although, if you had to say the top two, who would be the best for him?
Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and Macho Man Randy Savage.
Andre the Giant?
Yeah, I like Macho Man Randy Savage better.
What about Mr. T?
They never were against each other.
They were in the A-Team.
No, they weren't.
They fought
Hulk
each other
Hogan was
in the
with
A-Team.
him. They argued with each other,
right,
just like you and I argue.
And they fought each other in there, not like professional, like officially, but whatever. Anyways, okay. So
the only fighting on the show that they did was just playful, like you and I fight.
Right, exactly.
They're not enemies. You said villains.
Whatever. Anyways, before we get to our Hulk villains, it's time for News and Notables.
News and Notables. I'd show you guys this awesome flyer I have for this upcoming Comic-Con, but you can't see it. But there is an awesome upcoming Comic-Con in Wake Forest. It's the Wake Forest Mini Comic-Con. August 10th of this year. And yes, you can come. It's $5. Kids, what is it? 6 and under are free. If they're over that, then you pay $5. But whatever, it'll be cool. There's excellent art to be had, excellent comics to be had, excellent conversation to be had.
That's right. And me and Lewis will be there. What?
You could end up on an episode of Superhero Chat.
The Superhero Chat.
No, but seriously, folks, it's going to be fun. We found a long box full of comics last year and didn't pay long box prices for them.
That's right.
And Jonathan said he actually went to a Comic-Con recently, and he was telling me about some awesome stuff he got, like Booster Gold #1, first appearance of one of our favorites, Booster Gold.
I know you can't see this, but I'm going to show it to Lewis because he.
That's right, with some beautiful Dan Jurgens artwork. Can't go wrong with that.
Dan Jurgens, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You can see his name off to the left underneath.
There it is.
So yeah, there's that. Let's see. Really, the only thing I've been reading, watching, has been some X-Men stuff. This is the 3rd volume of the X-Men cartoon from the 90s. I'm showing Jonathan. And my son and I have been catching up on episodes of that. It's been really good.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I've been reading a couple of older X-Men comics just because I've longed for the day that X-Men would be good enough to read again. So here's hoping Marvel gets off their butt and fixes that. Personally, not a huge fan of the movies.
X-Men?
Yeah. Aspects of it are all right.
You didn't like the first ones?
I didn't like the first one. The second one I liked better than the first one. I loved Nightcrawler. I thought they did a pretty good job with him. I loved the scene in the White House. I thought that was really cool. I felt like there was politicking going on in those movies.
I think my only problem with them was they focused too much on Wolverine, and I didn't
Well,
care
yeah, I
enough
mean,
about Wolverine.
There's that.
But other than that, I really enjoyed them. I mean,
Um,
I didn't like what they did ultimately with Cyclops, but
Yeah. But
that's pretty much everything since the '90s TV show. So
yeah, they got him perfect on there. He's actually a quite compelling character there. But yes, I mean that I've read about some new comics that were out this week, and
yeah,
we'll talk about those in a minute. But as far as what I'm actually reading,
yeah.
just a couple old X-Men comics.
Well,
One set, let's see, 225-ish, somewhere around there. They fight the Freedom Force, aka the second or third version of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, who are now working for the government. So yeah,
I read the Superman Leviathan Rising, which was by Bendis. I kind of got it by accident. Didn't really intend to, but because it's kind of been. By the way, the artwork on that is really not great.
Yeah, I don't like the way Superman looks
on the cover. Just I don't know. But I read that. I'll do a review on that later. I didn't mean to buy it. It's kind of from the Action Comics run, and I have been very bored with the Action Comics run, so I actually dropped that a while back. I mean, I still read the Superman, but the Action Comics specifically, I haven't enjoyed. So yeah, but I read that. It was okay. I enjoyed parts of it. So
it's funny, we talk about things on our show, and then I read things, and I'm like, oh, okay. So, like you mentioned, the Superman run, there's an explanation given for something I lamented about recently with regard to Zar and Zod.
Yeah.
And they kind of resolved some of that. So I was like, okay, I appreciate that.
Huh.
So
I'm a little bit behind on that one.
Another thing, I'm not going to try and ruin it for you, though.
Another thing I read was Doomsday Clock, number 10. That was an excellent issue. Excellent. I'll do a review of that later this week as well. Well, one of them will probably get done this week. The other will probably be a following week. I might try to do both this week. I don't know. We'll see. Because I'm thinking I'm actually going to be out of town next week and won't be able to do our live stream next week.
You're leaving me.
So, we might have to do it Sunday night or Tuesday or Saturday night.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that afterwards, and I'll post a video talking about that. But Doomsday Clock 10 was really good. It was really good. Yeah. Basically, in the end, what's his name? Manhattan?
Yeah, Dr. Manhattan.
He realizes that he's kind of by essence of his character, he has become the villain of DC Universe. It's pretty interesting. They're doing some interesting stuff in there. So go read it. It's great. If you haven't read it yet. This one kind of made me interested in it again. I was like, hey, like they're finally, writing something that's enjoyable. Well, some of the others have just kind of been boring. And Doomsday Clock comes out like every 3 months now.
Yeah, what the heck? This was supposed to be a year-long story that was done last fall.
Yeah.
And we're not even sure it's going to be done by this fall.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, they've only got 2 issues left, so. But, anyways, there's a new Batman or DC Black label that I'll have to read. I forget what it's called, but it's about the Joker, I think, or something like that. But it looks pretty interesting. I've heard good things about it.
Are you talking about Batman Last Night on Earth?
That's right.
Yeah, that's a Batman story where he's like carrying around the Joker's head.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they talk to each other or not, but
They
that
better.
actually looks pretty cool. I've seen
Yeah.
some previews and stuff of that, and it looks really interesting. So,
Speaking of books that have been postponed forever, the third Batman Damned hasn't come out yet.
it will be out soon.
I'm sure it will.
Next month, I think, or this month now, I guess, sometime in June.
Okay.
I saw a listing for it recently, and I thought of you when I looked at it.
That was another one that was supposed to be done last year.
So make sure to tell your comic book guy to put that in your stuff.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. With regard to Doomsday Clock, so the way you described it with Manhattan realizing he's the villain of the story, a part of me wonders if this isn't Jeff Johns' way of critiquing basically what Watchmen, sort of the turn comics made as a result of the popularity of Watchmen.
Oh, I'm going to tell you, the last few pages looks like a direct insult to everything that's been going on in the DC Comics background.
Yeah.
It looks like he's basically calling out like Dan Didio and all the people responsible for the New 52.
Right.
It's great. It's great.
I was reading an annotation of the book recently, and somebody they were making a similar argument.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Some other news: we got a new cast for casting for Batman. I don't know if you saw that.
The vampire guy, right?
Yeah, I don't know much of anything about him.
He's from Twilight.
Did he?
Yeah, the vampire guy.
If you say so. I don't know who that is.
You don't know what Twilight is?
I know what Twilight is. I've never seen it, but
I think he was the main guy.
Wasn't there like two main guys or something? I don't know.
Well, yeah, but the other guy was like a werewolf or whatever.
Whatever. You know more about it than I do.
Hey, man, I was working retail when that crap was out, and people were asking me about it.
Sure.
So, for the sake of my job...
I'm not hating on Twilight fans. There's a funny episode of Parks and Rec where everybody's trying to be convinced of the
quality of that.
Of Twilight. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. I don't need that in my life. But
I don't know. I mean, some people were complaining about it. I was like, I don't know. He looks fine to me. You know, whatever. As long as they keep the romance with Wonder Woman and Batman, I'll be happy. Although he might be a bit too young for her. But
well, this is early Batman, so
right.
She probably won't be in this movie, but maybe they can catch it up later or something.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
But anyway, yeah. So
keep that romance alive.
Yeah.
Anyways, I agree. I think I heard something about a Harley and Joker series or something.
Yeah, I read something about that too. I can't remember.
I don't know much about it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be in the Black Label as well.
Okay, that's right. It's a comic series. There was another thing that I saw that the Russo brothers are going to be directing a Magic the Gathering cartoon show on Netflix.
A cartoon show?
Or anime.
Oh, okay.
Cartoons. And it's got the people who did the Justice League, Batman the Animated Series, and there was another show that Star Wars Clone Wars.
Okay.
So a lot of the art people from those are also doing this.
Interesting.
You got the directors of the Captain America series and the Avengers Endgame, and the artists from all those great shows. So,
if only I cared about Magic the Gathering. that whole thing just kind of passed me by.
Yeah.
It was popular when I was a teenager.
I think it'll help if they have an actual story.
Yeah.
Because that, like, unless you read a book or something, because as far as I know, they haven't ever come out with a book or anything that it's just cards, and it's hard to really convey a storyline that really grabs you to the universe without the cards. I think this would really help boost the sales of the cards because actually having a story rather than
I just remember a buddy of mine
perception of the story.
Yeah. I just remember a buddy of mine trying to teach me how to play, and I'm like, I can't learn this. Like, it just felt so hard.
It can be. It can be. Anyways, I think that's all the news and notables that I've got.
I just want to say
Booster
that
Gold number 1. Woo!
Yes, that's new and notable, right?
Yeah.
The last thing I want to say is, Tom King, don't call yourself a fan of Wally West. After what you did, I'm not a fan of you. But I really wasn't that big a fan of you before, but even less so now.
Yeah.
So, DC, fix Wally West. We told you how you could have.
Yeah. I heard that they put him in prison. Which is stupid. I think it just is waiting. They teed it up for somebody to come in and explain it all away, kind of like Hal Jordan killing half of the Green Lantern Corps. Oh, it was Parallax the whole time.
Except, okay.
And so for Wally, they'll be like, oh, it was Abracadabra the whole time.
No.
Nah, he was mind
We'll
controlled.
do a video about that later. Because I have feelings about Parallax that before it was Parallax,
right.
Even though he was always known as Parallax, it's confusing. We'll talk about it later.
All right. Let's get to our...
On to the main event.
The Incredible Hulk. Oh, it's Six Hulk. He showed up.
There he is. Get him. Somebody get him.
Me.
We mentioned Hulk Hogan earlier. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but they had to the WWE had to license his name from Marvel Comics.
Really?
Yep. That's
funny.
why in the early 90s or mid 90s, he changed his name from Hulk Hogan to Hollywood Hogan as a bad guy because they no longer wanted to have to pay Marvel the marketing fee. Yeah.
So if you're new to the channel, Six Hulk is an old. Well, it's not really that old because we haven't been around that long. He showed up for the first time in a video. I think it was the X-Men, like top 10 X-Men or something like that, and or top 10 Avengers.
Marvel, top 10 Marvel characters,
something like that. You can go watch that. We gave our top 10 characters there, and Six Hulk just kind of showed up and has been a mainstay since. So. We couldn't talk about the Hulk without bringing up Six Hulk. So
that's right.
But if you want to go see his origin story, you can go watch that video. You said top 10 Marvel heroes?
I believe so, yeah.
Marvel characters? I don't know. It's one of the two. So, all right. Well, I'll move it to the actual Hulk. Anyways, all right. So, number 10.
Number 10. This may shock some of you because you might rank them higher, but because of their infrequency, we rank them lower. Because of their contribution to an amazing storyline, we rank them in the top 10. But it is the Illuminati, and not the Illuminati that like people are worried about in real life, but the Illuminati from Marvel Comics, which is all these big brain people: Reed Richards, Tony Stark, Professor X, Black Bolt, Namor. I think that's everybody. Maybe Black Panther. I don't know if he was there originally, but eventually he joins. But they decide that for the best interest of the world, the Hulk needs to go somewhere else. This is not the first story where it was this. Oh, Doctor Strange. I don't want to leave him off because I'm about to talk about him, but this isn't the first time that he's been sent away. In issue 300 of his magazine, and by that I mean the original run because they won't let it get that high anymore. Anyway, Doctor Strange sent Hulk to another dimension to roam around because at that point he had become mindless. I don't remember all the particulars, but ultimately these smart guys, big brain guys who are looking to be protecting the planet say Hulk can't be here anymore, so they shoot him off into space, and it leads to the Planet Hulk storyline, which leads over into the World War Hulk storyline, where he comes back and he takes on the Illuminati, and it's just good. Like, I really enjoyed that story. I remember reading a preview for it where Hulk's about to lay the beat down on Black Bolt. And if you know Black Bolt, and if you don't, I'll tell you who he is. King of the Inhumans, he speaks and mountains go boom. But anyway, Hulk goes to attack him, and Black Bolt whispers something because even his whispers shatter mountains. And Hulk jumps at him. He says, "I didn't come to hear you whisper. I came to hear you scream." And then you're just like, okay, the Hulk means business here. Plus, by incorporating them at this point, we also incorporate all the various teams. Like the Fantastic Four has fought the Hulk a number of times. The Avengers have fought the Hulk a number of times.
This is what I'm showing them, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, what a great picture, right? It totally encapsulates what we're talking about at the moment. Just the Marvel Universe not feeling safe with the Hulk around. I mean, the Avengers were started because they were trying to track down the Hulk. So there you go. And by Avengers, I mean in the comics, not the so.
I think we talked about how the reason we put the Illuminati so low on the list is because I feel like the story that they're in, that we know them from, which is Planet Hulk leading to World War Hulk, is such a great story that they deserve to be in the top 10 as one of his villains. However, because they really don't have a recurring role against the Hulk, honestly, I can't think of any time that they've faced against the Hulk other than that one storyline. I mean, I'm sure that they have, but it's not really that prevalent, and that's why they're lower on the list than maybe some people would put them. So they're not really that recurring, so we put them lower, but they had that great story, so they've got to be on the list, I think.
Right.
And so just to explain kind of our thoughts as to why they are where they are as number 10. So
yeah. So that's all I got for that. So number 9, I put one that I think is more of a silly character, but Bybeast. Is a giant orange alien creature with faces, 2 mouths and 2 brains, and I put him on here principally because there's this excellent issue. I believe it's Incredible Hulk 4. I'm going to say 414. And he and Hulk and She-Hulk are hanging out with each other because they're cousins. And somehow Bybeast shows up, and he's like in love with She-Hulk. And it is super hilarious. Like, I just remember reading that and thinking, man, this is just great. Additionally, they utilized him well, I thought, in the Hulk video game that came out. I think it was after the first movie that Ang Lee did. And he looks really cool. I wish he had been in the movie. That might have not sucked. And of course, he's played the Hulk throughout his history at various points. He's not as notable as some of the others, but we were challenged to come up with the top 10 Hulk's villains, and we managed. So
there you go.
If you don't like By Beast, I don't know what to tell you. But it's something of a funny character that started out more as a horror kind of character, but Peter David wrote him well, and that's why I like him. So.
I don't know anything about the character. I saw a video today about the top 10 Hulk villains just to prep, and I saw his character, and I was like, okay, at least I knew what Lewis would be talking about.
Sweet. So anyway, yeah. So we going to move on?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number 8 is Tyrannus. He's a descendant of Roman royalty. He lives underground. He bothers the mole men. I can't remember. I think he leads the Molten Men, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got this army of near mindless creatures to throw at the Hulk. So if you like to see Hulk smash, this is the kind of guy to see the Hulk fight. His backstory is not overly complicated. You could easily make a Hulk movie with this character, where Hulk is literally just trying to escape and be alone, and then he just comes across these people and they attack him, and we get his backstory and why he's attacking, and then ultimately this guy's going to conquer the Earth, or that's his goal, and then the Hulk thwarts him. That's a good word, right? Thwarts. He thwarts Tyrannus. There's your movie right there, Marvel. I mean, it's not hard, right? Come up with a framework. It's much harder to cast actors and write scripts and things. But again, just like not like this world beater threat like Galactus, but an interesting character. I think probably the storyline to check out there would be I believe it was the Subterranean Wars issues. They were in the annuals. There was a West Coast Avengers annual, an Iron Man annual, regular Avengers annual, and then a Hulk annual. I think that's right. And it's Tyrannus, Mole Man, and somebody else, and there's this battle between all of them, and it's good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I like that character. I think it's a nice juxtaposition with the modern science of the Hulk versus the Roman mentality from a couple thousand years ago.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So
cool. I don't know anything about him.
Huh?
I said I don't know anything about him.
Oh, okay. All right, so number 7. The Pantheon. So this is Agamemnon. Agamemnon and Achilles and
Hercules.
No Hercules. So these guys are named after characters from the Iliad, essentially.
Troy.
And they're all descended from one guy. And so the Hulk actually works with them. I don't have the issue where they team up for the first time, but ultimately they cross paths and they present to him, oh, this is a good working opportunity for you and for us. But turns out they're scum, and they've got plans to destroy the Hulk. But Hulk says smash. it was a slow burn story that ran for close to 3 years, I guess, and it was really good. And there were some genuine moments where you were like, "Oh yeah, I want them to be, good guys," and some of them are. But at the same time, there's issues of loyalty there and that sort of thing. So Hulk is able to try to be a good leader, but he's the Hulk, so he doesn't always. He's not much of a people person. I'll just put it that way. But excellent stories that came out of that relationship, like the Trojan War. And you heard that right. I didn't mispronounce it. It's the Trojan War, because he goes to this planet called Trojan, and that's Troyjan. And one of the characters, Atalanta, has been kidnapped by this alien prince who wants her to be his wife, and she's not into that sort of thing. So you get hints of their devious nature, but you don't get the full story till another 10 issues or so go by. Yeah. But it's good. It's good. I recommend it. So Peter David, can't go wrong writing the Hulk. Speaking of which, there's a one-shot coming out this summer by him and Dave Cowan that you guys should check out. So ready to go on? All right, number 6.
Six Hulk.
Just kidding. It is the UFOs. The way that I tried to describe these characters to Jonathan before I realized he knew who I was talking about, I said the Fantastic Four, if they were villains and had gotten hit with gamma radiation instead of cosmic rays, whatever those are.
But I know what you're talking about. I saw that video that talked about them, so I knew the general principle.
So you have Ironclad, that's the big strong guy like the Thing. You have Vector, who is crackers. I think he's like the Human Torch. I think Vapor is the girl. And let's see. Mercy. Let's see if I can find him real quick. You'd think I'd be better prepared for all this. I actually hadn't read up on these characters in a while, so that's why they're so.
You're fine.
Yeah, Vector's the leader. X-Ray is the guy who's like the Human Torch, and then Vapor is the girl. So I was right. And so yeah, they tend to be under somebody else, like the leader, or to be hired by somebody else to fight the Hulk. They're bound and determined to fight the Hulk. But they don't usually do that well with the Hulk. But they make for good comics. If you want a good one, check out Incredible Hulk 396. I know he fights him again in 401, so I'd tell you to check that one out. That's got a cool cover where Ironclad is punching the Hulk. Big metal dude beating up the Hulk. It's kind of cool looking. So, but yeah, there are times where he doesn't waste time and he kicks the crap out of them. So, your mileage varies as far as what you're into, but I really dig them as characters. I like that they take themselves way too seriously and the Hulk doesn't. I always think that's funny. So there's that. You got anything?
No. I'm going to switch pictures, though. And it's going to be Hulk fighting Superman.
Yay! So I'll go ahead and drop the notables, the honorable mentions here.
Superman.
Superman. Who apparently punked the Hulk in DC versus Superman. So there is that.
Because of course.
It was fan voted, so it's kind of the way that works.
Yeah.
Let's see, Rhino. I love Rhino. If you want a great issue of him fighting Rhino,
He's
read.
a Spider-Man villain.
He is. That's why he's not on the top 10 list.
Gotcha.
Because this is an honorable mention.
Fair enough.
So, Rhino, read 435. It's an excellent issue where the Hulk joins a baseball team to try and hide out. And then apparently the Rhino is on the other baseball team. And so instead of finishing the game, they end up beating each other up and destroying the stadium.
That's funny.
So there's that. Let's see. Who else is a good one? Madman, the leader's brother. I think he ends up contributing to the destruction of Freehold, something like that. I could be wrong about that, but let's see. The Avengers. He fights them on a fairly regular basis, but of course, like I said, we incorporated them in with the Illuminati. Iron Man specifically, just because of the Hulkbuster armors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not going to dig too much deeper in that. But like I said, we were challenged to come up with a top 10, and we have succeeded. And now we're in the top 5.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hey, clocking in at a solid number 5 is the Red King from the Planet Hulk storyline. So I put him here because of his significance with that storyline specifically. This really was the first time that I took notice of the Hulk after Peter David had left. I felt like this was the shot in the arm that this series needed. And even though, I mean, that was his storyline, right? Because he ends up not making it. It was so significant, at least as far as my enjoyment of the Hulk, that I had to rank him this high.
Yeah.
So the Red King is and when you think about it, and how he sort of like punks the Hulk, and getting the obedient disc on him and everything, and then of course he gets it on Silver Surfer 2. You're like, this dude means business. So you get a little bit of that coming out of the Grandmaster character in Ragnarok with Thor and Hulk, but it's not quite the same.
Right.
That's played for laughs. This is more serious. If you want laughs and this story, I recommend the Marvel Superhero. It's like a little kids show, and the Red King is trying to explain to Hulk how he's injected nanites into him, and the Hulk's like not understanding, but he has like a child's brain instead of his typical just Hulk smash. And so it's very cleverly done for children. But like as I watched it with my kid, I'm like, this is amazing. This is hilarious.
That's funny.
So I recommend checking that out. So Marvel Superhero Show, I think is what it's called. Anyway, any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know as much about the Red King. I have kind of learned a little bit about that story, and I thought it was really good. But I don't remember everything about it.
Yeah.
The general premise is brilliant, though.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, number 4 is the leader. This guy is the dark half of Banner's intellect. So the leader is to the Hulk, so what the Hulk lacks in intelligence, the leader makes up for, while the leader, what the leader lacks in muscle, the Hulk more than makes up for.
brain versus brawn.
Yes, and it's a great story, right? Like we talked about that with Luthor and Superman.
Right.
And the leader, he hates the Hulk. He wants to utilize the Hulk as a weapon. That's sort of how their stories typically have gone. He's benefited to some degree, despite the malformation of his head, by the gamma radiation, and he wants to take over the world. And the Hulk frequently opposes him. He blew up a town and with a gamma bomb in Incredible Hulk 345, I think. I really think the town's name is called Freehold, so I'm going to go with that. And he gamma irradiated a ton of other people. And then he was the cause for Marlowe's resurrection. Marlowe went on to marry Rick. Is it Jones? Rick Jones? How have I forgotten the boy's name? Anyway, he was the guy, Rick Jones. I'm pretty sure that's his name. So Rick is a contributor to the Hulk's origin story. He found himself sitting out on the test site, and Bruce Banner ran out to save his life. And as a result, the Hulk was born. And so, yeah, I like the leader. I think he's an excellent foil for the Hulk. And I'm sad we haven't seen him in the movies yet. I know they were leading to that with Samuel Stearns, the scientist in the Incredible Hulk movie. So I kind of hope they play up on that, since they've basically acknowledged that movie does exist within the canon of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Because he could be a good villain to fight the Avengers, right? With the Hulk still on the team. So
I'll be interested to see what they do with the Hulk.
Yeah.
In the future.
Apparently the Russo guy said that the Hulk's damage to his right arm is permanent. So he may try to fix that and screw something up. And that could be interesting too. So, but that's number 4. Number 2, firstly, The Abomination. Too big. So if the leader is to the Hulk's brains the inverse, then the Abomination is the same. Like he's actually physically stronger at a base level than the Hulk. Plus, he's got the military mind of Emil Blonsky. And I don't know about y'all, but I love to see two huge dudes like that beat the crap out of each other.
Right.
And so that's why the Incredible Hulk movie ranks very highly on my own personal list of favorite comic book movies, because I finally got to see the Hulk beat the crap out of somebody huge. You know what I mean?
That was a good movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. You say it was a good movie, but I remember recently someone was asking about that, and you were like, "Oh, you can skip that one."
Well,
and then I had to make the argument. I know, but I had to make the argument of why you shouldn't, and why it was totally in canon.
To be fair, the guy in question is notoriously non-sci-fi, and I just feel like the Incredible Hulk would probably scare him away.
See, I don't even know why you'd say that. It's such a good movie. I liked it.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie.
The only way that movie could have been better is if Ruffalo were playing Banner.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I love the Abomination. He has the notoriety of killing Betty at one point. Yeah. So I mean, he's pretty.
Well, I like the way the movie portrayed him, where he was this military man who just had such a drive to beat the Hulk.
Yeah.
And he thought he was the best, and he was going to prove it. And the only way to beat the Hulk was to become the Hulk.
Right.
And so he becomes the Abomination and still can't beat the Hulk.
That's right, because
but he goes, but he does give him a run for his money.
This is true.
So
that's a great movie. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again soon. I'm just thinking about that fight at the end.
Yeah.
Where we get all the Hulk talking and stuff. Hulk smash, Betty. And then when he throws that chain around his neck, it's so great. Yeah. Anyway, so so that's number 3, the Abomination. I just a huge fan of big dudes just pounding it out, but yeah.
And it's nice when Hulk has somebody his own size to beat up.
Right. I mean, isn't that what we pick on someone your own size? Well, here comes the Abomination, right?
Right.
So, all right.
Number 2.
Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, the father-in-law.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I say that because he and Betty actually do get married in the comics. So, technically, he's the father-in-law. But, yeah, he was there from the beginning, bothering the Hulk. He was there when Hulk wanted to be left alone. He was there when the Hulk wanted to smash. He was there when Banner and Hulk were separated. He was there when Banner and Hulk were working together as Smart Hulk. He has been a perpetual, like he gets the honor of being number 2 because he's been such a perpetual thorn in the Hulk side.
Right. I mean, he's just there from the beginning. He's always around somewhere chasing the Hulk.
Central to the character, really, because I mean, his daughter is the Hulk's love interest, and a lot of media. Right? She was on the cartoon. She was on the TV show. She was in the movies. Not the TV show. Why did I say the TV show? They didn't care about that as much then.
Was she not in the TV show?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
Because he wasn't really a military guy in the TV show. Like, he wasn't working for the military. His role in that would go to Jack McGee, the reporter guy, who's always trying to get the story.
Yeah.
I mean, but he was in the first Hulk movie with I mean, that was some of the best stuff about that movie, with the military chasing him down. I really like that in that movie. So, and he's in the movies now, right? Like,
right.
They haven't abandoned the character, and so we keep talking about him as his military persona, but at some point he comes back as the Red Hulk. So he has this whole renaissance of his character, where he comes back, with this ability to siphon off radiation and finally make him more powerful than the Hulk. So as the Hulk powers up, because the angrier Hulk gets, the stronger Hulk gets, Red Hulk's just feeding off that, and so he's finally able to beat the Hulk. So that's notable in itself. And then, of course, he has a turn as a hero, but he still plagues the Hulk even as a hero. So there you go. That's number 2.
Yeah.
Anything to add there?
I just think it's interesting that he eventually becomes the thing that he hates.
Yes. Isn't that an excellent story progression for the character? And yeah, it's just interesting how long it took for that to happen.
I kind of see with the Abomination, he's striving to beat the Hulk, and so to do so, he becomes the Hulk, basically.
Right.
And then with Ross, he's spent so long trying to stop him, and he eventually becomes the thing that he hates.
And he didn't even mean to. Apparently, the bad guys made him into that. The Intelligentsia is this anti-Illuminati group or whatever, and so he was turned into the Red Hulk against his will, so to speak. But then he totally just embraced it, because, like you said, if he can't stop the Hulk, what's the purpose of living? That's kind of his thinking on it. So.
Right. All right, number one,
Number
best
one.
Hulk villain.
And I had to make the argument for this, but ultimately the Hulk's greatest villain is the Hulk. And within that we include the Maestro, but even without the Maestro, still the Hulk's greatest villain is the Hulk, because the Hulk story started as a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde story, and within that, the hero is the villain.
Yeah,
because he's turned himself into this. Yes, it happened, but it's his inability to control his emotions that ultimately results in the Hulk showing up and wrecking the day. Now, does he do hero stuff? Yes, he saves the day from time to time, but that's not his purpose. Like, Banner's purpose is to keep the Hulk away. The Hulk's purpose is, I just want to exist.
I thought that was the best
stuff.
part of the Incredible Hulk movie, was him trying to take every measure to, not become the Hulk.
Right.
And we see a lot of that with Ruffalo's character, where he's, doing the same thing.
Yeah, and they touched on it a little bit in Infinity War, where Hulk didn't want to come out.
Right. Well, I think the big one was Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And you get a little bit in the Avenger movie, but Age of Ultron really dives into the terribleness of the Hulk.
Right.
I think, honestly, my biggest problem with most of the cartoons is that they don't talk about Bruce Banner. I feel like they miss the entire purpose of the character by not including Bruce Banner as part of the... because the Hulk is, it's his kind of dark side of his character, and he's trying to fight it. But, it always overcomes, and he always ends up, losing himself and becoming the Hulk. And, and it's hard for him because he's got all these people that he, are close to him, but he hurts them if he's not careful.
Right.
Because the Hulk doesn't have, a filter. And I think that's one of the great things about the character of the Hulk, is that he's just got this tension of whether he'll, he can contain himself or not in Bruce Banner. And then I thought the movie did pretty well of them trying to figure out how to, basically be the smart Hulk. How can we get the mind of Banner with the awesomeness of the Hulk and keep them together? Rather than, being one or the other, because then he could truly be a hero. Otherwise, he's just kind of a brute animal that, is based on instinct. And
well, the beautiful thing about the Smart Hulk is, even though they were working together, the problems didn't go away. Like, this was something that Peter David did a really good job of in the comics. So, like, there's various storylines that happened before issue 415, where he's having a therapy session, and he's talking to his Leonard Samson, his psychiatrist or whatever. And he's like, so what happened when Captain America showed up? He's like, I hit him. What happened when Nick Fury showed up. I hit him. What happened when Shield showed up? I hit a lot of people. Like, he's like, so it doesn't sound like you're trying. So like Leonard Sampson, his psychiatrist, has been telling him to try and like use reason because he's smart now to diffuse these situations. And the Hulk legitimately tries to talk to these various people that he's dealing with. And it always ends up coming to fisticuffs. Like they have to fight. And Hulk's like, but as he's telling it, he's smiling about it. Like he's like smirking, like, I hit a lot of people, you know. And the build is there. He's like, what happened there? I hit him. What happened there? I hit him. What happened there? And it's so funny. But Peter David has this way about him in those stories where he's not minimizing the Hulk's struggle, because the Hulk wants to be, Banner wants to be in control, but the Hulk is still exerting himself and showing up. And what ends up happening is the Hulk, if he gets too mad, like he turns into Banner. And so he's like as raged out as he can be, but he has the opposite reaction, which as you're reading that DC versus Marvel book where he's fighting Superman, he mentions having to keep that in check so that he doesn't turn into Banner, because then he'd be able to be knocked out like anybody else.
Yeah.
And it's something that they come back to every once in a while, but it's true. And then, of course, you know, with regard to the Maestro, he's what would happen if the Hulk were let loose totally. So he turns his back on humanity altogether, and he turns his back on his own humanity. And ultimately he is pretty much the last guy living. They go into some really weird places with the character in Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, in Old Man Logan, Wolverine is now an old man, and Hulk and She-Hulk have children together because there's nobody else who can have the Hulk's kids, but they turn out to be retarded Hulks, which is really weird. And of course, Wolverine has to fight them at some point. So it's some really weird stuff. But Hulk Future Imperfect is excellent. That's where Maestro kind of comes from, and yeah.
There's our list, guys. Our top 10 Hulk villains. So let us know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Where would you put these guys? Where would you put the villains? Is there someone we left out
that deserves to be on our list?
Did we put somebody on you disagree with? Let us know. We'd love to hear. Love to discuss that. If